guys, welcome to another episode of Crazy Dreamers TV, and we're here today at Savour Life. We're going to meet an amazing man, Michael Mateague, who's the founder of this amazing business. Come with me. Welcome to Crazy Dreamers TV, the Businesses for Good show. We feature amazing entrepreneurs who dare to dream crazy and create businesses that are impacting the world. Hi, I'm Kathy Wong. I'm your host and producer of the show. Today I'm so excited because not only do we have one guest, we actually have three guests. I affectionately like to call them as the three M's. So the first M I'm going to introduce you to is Michael Mateague, the founder of Savour. Thanks, Savour Life. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So Michael, introduce us to our two other cohorts here. Who have we got here?
We've got our two chief tasting officers,
Chief
as we call them.
tasting officers.
We've got
right.
Max here on my lap and Missy sitting over there
Missy.
quite regally looking at the camera.
Beautiful. I don't know, guys, how I ended up here. They say that you shouldn't work with kids and animals, so we'll just see how this goes. So Michael, tell me, how did your love for dogs, where did this start?
Yeah, probably started when I was a little kid, hey? So we've had dogs all my life as far back as I can remember.
Right.
Little dogs walking in off the street that my parents used to look after, I think, and they kind of stayed for a while and then kind of wandered on. And then all the way up until I went to university.
Wow, so you've had a life of dogs.
Yeah,
really?
yeah, absolutely. So, and then a very special dog called Buddy came into our life about 10 years ago, 15, oh gosh, no, more than that, 15 years ago now,
Yes.
and helped me create this wonderful company called Savour Life.
Fantastic. Well, see, I actually have never grown up with dogs, and I would love to have a dog now, but you know, I travel too much, so that's not possible. And I will say this though, because I am Chinese, right? And I'll say this to you, I have never eaten a dog, and I never intend to, so I just want to say that to everybody out there.
Okay.
Anyway, so you've grown up with dogs and you've had this love for dogs. Now, I believe you were in a corporate life once upon a time, is that right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my background after university, I went into corporates, both in America and over here. Maxie's going to get down, I think, for a little bit. And I worked in corporate America for a little while. That's where I went to university. And then came back and worked over here in marketing and strategy roles. So that was my background.
Right. So how did you then take us through the journey of how you went from being in, you know, marketing, corporate life, to now, you know, you're doing, I gather this is your passion?
Absolutely.
So tell us about how you ended up here today.
Yeah. Why am I sitting here in front of you? So it's been a long and interesting story, I guess. So it really all started out of a conversation I had at my old corporate job. So I had a great job in working with some great people, doing some great things, but we were just sitting around one day and one of the girls I worked with said, just to the group of us who were sitting around, she said, you know, would you still do your job if you won the lottery? And it's kind of like one of those light bulb moments in your life, and I still remember the conversation very clearly, even after all these years. And I went, gosh, no, I don't think I would. Yeah. And then the conversation followed on. We started talking about what we would do if we won the lottery. I've never won the lottery, by the way. It never happened. But
you could.
But I could, maybe in the future. But and then we just started having a conversation about what we would do. Right. And I thought if I had all that time and all that money on my hands, I would help rescue dogs. That was my answer to her question. And then it just kind of got the seed started for me about, well, if that's what I would do, if time and money was not an issue, maybe I should apply all this really wonderful business experience that I'd earned over the years and apply it to helping rescue dogs. That was my strength. I knew I couldn't run a shelter or do some of the wonderful things that people who rescue dogs are, but I figured I could use my business brain to help those people and help the cause in and of itself. That's kind of where I thought my strength would lie. Beautiful.
And how long ago was that, Michael?
So the conversation, it's got to be more than 6-7 years ago. Savour Life I've been working on for about 5 years now, and the company itself we launched about a little over 4 years ago.
Wow, so not that long ago, right?
No, not that long.
Wow.
No.
Because you have had
35 in dog years,
35 in dog years, that's right. Yeah. So is that a long time?
That's a long time, a short time. Yeah.
Right. But that is, you know, from what I've heard about your business, you've had incredible growth in a very short period of time. So tell our viewers out there about how your business works. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the fundamentals of Savour Life are really simple. So we make Australian-made food and treats for dogs. Keep half the profits, run it like a normal company, but then give the other half of the profits away to smaller volunteer-run rescue groups and shelters all over the country to help them, fund them, save and rehome abandoned dogs.
Right, okay, brilliant. So a very, very simple model,
Very
really.
simple. Yeah.
But behind this, right, I know that you shared with me something really interesting the other day around the whole area of dog abandonment. So could you go into a little bit about that, because the facts around that, which are really your big driver too, right, for starting Savour Life.
That's how we measure a lot of our stuff.
Yeah, that really horrified me. So would you just like to share that too with our audience?
Yeah, it's a really big problem in Australia. So when I first started Savour Life, after the conversation, the light bulb moment, I started doing a little bit of research, and I was horrified when I really looked at the numbers. So in Australia, about 200,000 dogs, healthy ones, are abandoned every single year. And for a rich country like Australia, that's really appalling. Of those 200,000, probably up to 50,000 of them will be euthanised. And it's just this massive problem that not too many people are aware of. I wasn't aware of.
I had no idea.
No, it's huge.
And I hope the Chinese aren't contributing to that.
No, it's just it's a problem throughout the country, and it's more driven by a lack of education of people or a lack of responsibility. There's a few things that drive that. It's normally a change in the circumstance of the owner, which drives a person to abandon their dog.
See, that's why I've never had a dog. You know, I've walked in so many times to a dog shelter or the pet shop, and I've looked at the dog and I thought, I'd love to have a dog, but I just know with my lifestyle, it's not fair. I know that the dog would suffer, you know.
Well, that's, you know, it's great to hear you say that, and unfortunately, some people don't go through that thought process. A dog is a responsibility. So they need to be walked, they need to be exercised, they need to be fed. There's a whole range of things that need to happen. And you know, some people just aren't ready for that responsibility. So that's kind of one area where a lot of the abandoned animals come from. There's also people still don't desex their animals, so there's heaps of unwanted litters that drive a lot of those dog abandonments too. So someone has a dog and all of a sudden they've got 10 puppies and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with them, so they end up in shelters or with rescue groups. So between those two things, that drives this massive problem in Australia, which, like I said, is 200,000 dogs get abandoned every year.
Amazing. 200,000, guys. Did you hear that? That's just incredible.
I know. I thought there was a decimal point moved when I first read the numbers. And then 50,000 of those animals are euthanised, and there is no purpose to that life being lost.
That seems such a waste,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it
is. It's horrible. A lot of they end up in the tip, essentially. It's a really horrible end, and as a country we should be able to do a lot better than that.
Definitely. And I believe Missy, who we just met, where is she? I think Missy's
She's
gone on walkabouts now.
But
I believe Missy has a very interesting story which fits into this, you know, these facts you're giving us.
Yeah, so Missy and Max are both, so Max, who was on my lap, and Missy, who was up there, they're both rescue dogs.
Right.
And they're both at either end of the spectrum. So Max is a really good example of just a perfectly healthy, normal, everyday dog whose owner just couldn't look after him anymore, and so abandoned him, and he luckily lives with us now. He's been with us for a year. He's a beautiful dog. And Missy's kind of the other spectrum of kind of what more people expect a rescue dog is like. She was abandoned when she was 4 weeks old with a crushed leg by a breeder who didn't want to look after her anymore. He couldn't sell her, so because he accidentally crushed a leg, and he couldn't sell her, so he took her to the vet to be euthanised. Luckily, the vet nurse that worked there knew one of the rescue groups that we work with up in Queensland, and called them and said, hey, look, there's this beautiful little puppy. She's really great with people, and this is what's going to happen to her. Are you able to take her in and pay for her operation? At that point, her leg was so badly damaged they had to amputate it, and that cost a couple of $1,000s actually. So, but this is what these little rescue groups do, with a bit of money, hopefully from what we provide them, and fundraising. So if you ever see them out at Bunnings, please donate to them. It's great. They save animals like this. So Missy is a beautiful, absolutely healthy, and she gets around fine on 3 legs, but she's a perfect example of the work that those little rescue groups can do with a little bit of money. None of them get any funding from the government.
So these are all just volunteer.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's how you distribute your funds. You actually distribute your funds to these volunteer rescue groups. Is that right?
There's quite a number of them in Australia now. It's probably about 500, 600. And most of them are registered charities.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're people who work during the week, work 40-hour work weeks, and then at night and on the weekend they go into pounds, they go into shelters, they get the dogs out before their time's up. Generally in Australia there's a 7 or 14-day window when a dog gets into a shelter, how much time they have. And these rescue groups thankfully take that overflow, because after that 7 or 14 days that dog would be euthanized. But once they get into most of these foster groups, or at least the ones that we support, there's no time limit placed on them, so their next journey is to a family, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. But when you talk about giving help to these groups, you've given some major help. I heard that you'd already given away. Can you tell me that amount?
So, kind of as of today, because we just did the end of month stuff, we're up to a little over $660,000 in donations.
Oh my God,
now.
Michael,
Yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. Did you hear that, guys? $600,000 in 6 years.
In 4.5.
In 4.5 years. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, you've got to be happy with that. That's
Yeah,
major impact.
yeah, it's we've donated to over 220 different rescue groups and supported the rehoming of about 4,500 dogs that we can actually track and keep track of.
Yes.
But yeah, when I started this company, I hoped that maybe eventually we'd have like a tenth of that impact. Maybe you start something and you don't know where it's going to end up.
But this is called the Crazy Dreamers Show.
Yeah.
You've got to be just as crazy as I'm sure I am and all the other people we have on this show, right?
Yeah.
Because that leads me to my next question. Do you have another crazy dream, or is this your crazy dream, and where's this crazy dream going?
Well, I think you could probably go crazy dream part B. So
Okay.
I left a very nice, comfortable, well-paid job to start
safe job.
a safe job,
Yeah,
really
the safe
safe job.
Yeah.
To mortgage some of my house and roll the dice and go, hey, I'm going to start a social enterprise and see if it works.
Yes.
Had no background in my industry,
Yes.
and just thought, I work hard, I think I've got a good idea, I think we can make some difference in the world, and I hoped it would work. So to sit here kind of like 4.5 years later and see what we've been able to do is pretty crazy for me, but we've kind of gone well past what I ever thought we'd be able to do already. So a little bit this year, this coming financial year, for us is crazy part B, which is we've always and will always continue to donate money to those rescue groups to help them once that dog is in that bad position of being in a shelter and getting them out and then finding them new home. So we'll always do that. But what we're going to try and start doing a little bit more of this year is trying to resolve that problem that I just told you about, which is the 200,000 that get abandoned in the first place.
Yes, so start closer to that source of where that problem lies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
wow.
And
Okay.
stop that funnel. Yeah, so hopefully get that 200,000 hopefully down to 100,000, and then both our impact here, and then on the back end of stuff where we normally donate the money to, it will be a kind of a double impact. So that's our next kind of crazy thing. So this is probably even harder than the original one. So
I know exactly how you feel. I mean, even doing this show for me seems like a
right.
crazy project,
Yeah.
But this is the thing. This is what I love about people like yourself, where there's no stopping us, right? It's like, okay, I've got this vision and I'm just going to go after it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to do it. And you are living proof of that, Michael. So that is absolutely awesome. So tell me, what's been I want to hear your biggest challenge in establishing Savour Life, and then I want to hear the best moment that you had, just very quickly, because give us that.
So the biggest challenge, the first part of the question was...
The biggest challenge for you in establishing the business.
Yeah,
so
I guess there's not a lot of, back, especially when we started, there wasn't a lot of support for social enterprises, and I was not from the industry that I work in now and that our business is from. That was extremely challenging. So I couldn't get any money.
Totally relate
so
to
no
that.
money from the bank. We had to mortgage our house.
Yeah.
I was like, so it's a massive risk, and it was very challenging. And we compete for the most part against multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations. That's who we compete against most of the time. So that's a massive challenge. They have they have marketing budgets that are 50 times the size of our company.
Yes.
So half of the battle is just getting our company known. So recognize.
Brand awareness.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, well you've succeeded in that, and then what's been the
little bit.
best part? Now I think you've done really well. What's the best? What's one of your best moments?
So it's funny you ask that. It can be a really simple thing, and I still remember back to just two very simple things. So one day I just had $500 to spare, and I called my wife and said, hey, can you call Jess up in North Queensland, that girl we work with who runs North Queensland Animal Rescue, and I said, look, we got like $500 to spare, and we're always broke because you're giving away all your money, so you got to manage your cash flow, and just took the $500 and sent us just a photo, and it was just like a photo of one dog that she'd been able to bust out with the $500 we gave her, and that dog wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for that very kind of fortuitous couple of seconds. And while we've helped about over 4,000 dogs, it still can drive down to something as something as simple as that. Just a photo that comes across the phone, and hopefully we've repeated that 4,000 times. But there's kind of little simple things like that get me up in the morning and keep me doing the 80-hour weeks. And
you keep getting up there, and you keep, because we need plan B now, right? So just in finishing off this interview, is there anything that our community can assist you with?
I would say you can probably assist my partners in the volunteer groups probably as much or even more than you can me. So they're all around the country. So if you're watching this anywhere in Australia, just Google rescue group, and your probably local ones will come up. If you can donate to them, great. If you can't donate, volunteer. If you can't volunteer, foster.
Many ways.
There's so many ways that you can help these little groups out, because they're all just like you. They're just people who work during the day, but they have this real drive and passion to help rescue dogs, and that's who we help. So if you can do any of that, that would be awesome. If you do have a dog, obviously we're a really easy way for you to help a rescue dog, because you're going to have to buy food for your dogs, you have to buy treats, and in doing that, we are the same price, as good if not better quality than any other food on the market.
Right?
And we're Australian made,
Fantastic.
Australian operated, so you can buy some of our food, and that really helps. We also do a lot of work on social media and trying to get the dogs and the rescue groups out in the community. So if you see any of our stuff, please share it on social media.
Well, we'll be sharing all your handles and everything.
Yeah,
so
great.
Thank you so much, Michael, today, and thank you, Missy, and thank you, Max, wherever you've gone to. They're really quiet now, but thank you. So that's been another episode of Crazy Dreamers TV. Hope you've enjoyed that, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Dog life. We share stories. Okay. My name is Kathy Wong. Yes.
A few years ago, Crazy Dreamers TV. Oh, that's a fire alarm. Crazy Dreamers Max.
Yell it out at them.
Crazy Dreamers TV. Crazy Dreamers TV. There you go.